the health reform debate. Remember that? That was the same Koch brothers funded group that did the Wisconsin buses. There was the big November is Coming bus tour that the Koch brothers group launched before the midterm elections. This whole bus tour instant fake movement thing is really becoming a robust cottage industry for some corporations. They like to make it look like there are humans on their side. So they pay in order to make that impression. So you get like a rally for the oil industry. Remember this one? This one in Houston? It's actually made up of oil industry employees who were bused to the rally by their company, making it part of people's jobs to go to rally in support of their corporation. Or you get the American coal industry launching its Faces of Coal website, where clip art stock photos of people are passed off as real live humans who support the coal industry and have faces. Sometimes the most direct way to see through this kind of corporate-funded PR made to look like real politics is just by looking at the fine print on the signs. That big pro-oil rally down in Houston that we just mentioned featured signs carrying the fine print, Energy Citizens. What's Energy Citizens? Although almost ungoogleable, if you persist, you will find that it is an organization created by the American Petroleum Institute. And now this weekend we got the same sort of corporate-funded rent-a-movement thing going on up in Wisconsin. And really, it's not just a pattern, it's like a template. They always do it the same way. Here are the signs they were holding at the anti-union rally in Wisconsin yesterday. See, they say, "Stand with Walker." And then what's the fine print on this? What's that? Oh, a project of Americans for Prosperity. Americans for Prosperity, founded by David Koch, substantially funded by the oil billionaire Koch brothers. Americans for Prosperity saw their budget balloon from $7 million in 2007 to $40 million in 2010, as the Koch brothers really turned their influence buying efforts up to 11. And that, of course, means more money for bus tours. And the guy who the Koch brothers have in charge of Americans for Prosperity, he's a real pro at this. His name is Tim Phillips. Remember the whole Jack Abramoff scandal? That was a scandal. That in effect was a crime syndicate that was stomach-turning in lots of different ways. But one of the most nauseating things about that entire scandal was Tim Phillips as part of it. Tim Phillips worked with Ralph Reed. You may remember him. He used to be the head of the Christian Coalition before he went to work with Jack Abramoff. What did Jack Abramoff use Tim Phillips and Ralph Reed for? He used them to essentially gin up fake Christian political support for whatever Jack Abramoff's clients needed. So let's say Jack Abramoff had a casino as one of his clients, right? He would get the marketing company run by Tim Phillips and Ralph Reed to start up a "We are Christians and we are outraged against gambling" campaign. And what would that do? You guessed it. That would keep any new casinos from being built that might compete with Jack Abramoff's client casino. So they were essentially getting anti-gambling Christians to inadvertently maximize casino profits for Jack Abramoff's clients. Or there was the Marianas Islands thing, right? Remember this one? The Northern Mariana Islands is a U.S. Commonwealth. That's a helpful map. Look, it's a dot. The U.S. government did an investigation into working conditions there and found that sweatshop workers there were not only working in sweatshop conditions, they were being forced into prostitution. They were being forced to have abortions. So, you know, maybe stuff being manufactured under those conditions. Forced abortions? Maybe the stuff being manufactured under those conditions should not carry the Made in the USA label. Maybe Saipan has not earned that. Well, in the mid-1990s, Jack Abramoff took on the Northern Mariana Islands as a client. And he then put Ralph Reed and Tim Phillips on the case. Their marketing company got conservative Christians from Alabama to lobby their member of Congress in favor of the forced abortion, forced prostitution sweatshop on the grounds that those Chinese laborers were being introduced to Jesus while they were there. Presumably that was in between the forced abortions and the forced prostitution. I asked Tim Phillips about that when we had him here on the show in 2009. His answer was essentially, you know, that was a really long time ago. It may have been a long time ago, but dude still has the same basic job. He doesn't work for Jack Abramoff anymore. Abramoff, of course, went to prison for that kind of stuff. Now Tim Phillips works for the Koch brothers, helping to gin up support for their corporate interests by recruiting, in this case, right-wing pseudo-celebrities like Joe the Plumber to denounce opponents of the Koch brothers' governor as card-carrying communists. And of course, to make it look like the Koch brothers' cause has overwhelming support. A 4-day, 10-city bus tour of Wisconsin by Tim Phillips's group culminated in several hundred people turning up for a rally in a rented arena in Madison on Saturday. According to the group's own state director, AFP's own state director, the turnout of 600 people in Madison was the largest on the entire 10-city tour.